Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy New Year, January 1st, 2024. Yeah, it's here. Can you believe it? Do you feel any different? I actually do. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've been tossing around the contemplation as to if it's just in my mind that I actually feel different or if it's real. But something in the air definitely feels different. So I'm gonna go with that because surely that's far more promising than not. Right? So yeah, I hope you had a wonderful New Year's Eve, bringing in the new year. If you were out celebrating, I hope that you enjoyed yourself immensely. I hope you had some time to affirm some perspectives and prospectives for the year ahead and beyond. And as I said yesterday, I just wish you the best on all of your endeavors. So, cheers to a new year and new adventures on the horizon. It is also the first day of Mercury stationing in Sagittarius. Hallelujah. Can we all say together? Hallelujah. It's been a hell of a ride, Mercury, and we thank you for your transit. However, we are so grateful that you are now stationed to move forward. Thank you. So yeah, it's just stationed today. So give it a couple weeks, about 10-15 days or so, for it to kind of rev back up again into its normal speed of motion. But in the meantime, you can definitely look towards things lightening up in all the ways that Mercury can be challenged during the retrograde, but still, especially as the new year is here and we're excited about new projects, new endeavors, and just getting started and getting going. Take your time on contracts and considerations for partnerships, professional, personal, or otherwise. And yeah, just take your time and really be mindful of every aspect of whatever you're investing in or whatever you are committing to. And even if it doesn't call for a sign on the dotted line, even if it's just a verbal agreement or an energetic agreement, whatever it is, we're still in a position to be mindful, given that we're even still technically in a full moon cycle that is encouraging us to continue to release and continue to reflect before that new moon comes around the river bend, which is not far away. So definitely can't tell you not to be ambitious as we like to do at the top of the new year, but just remember to go with the cosmic waves and not against it, so you don't have a false start in this new year and then burn yourself out and then get discouraged and then deplete your energy when it's really time to power ahead. So just keep your eyes and your ears open to when it's a go, indefinitely or definitely for you. Okay? All right. Let's see what we got here. Seven of Pentacles, about long-term investments. Yeah, because it's like what we're doing now is for the long haul. So what is given to me, the Seven of Pentacles, is like a pace yourself type of vibe, because what's supposed to be accelerated is going to happen for you anyway. And you'll know exactly when that time comes, because you'll have to align and adjust with it cosmically and not the other way around. You won't have to tell the universe to hurry up. It'll be you catching up to the speed of acceleration that you're kind of thrust in, or that's thrust upon you in some way, shape, or form. So now is best time than ever to just take a reflection and inventory. That's what this is, over seeds that have already been planted, what you've harvested, what's yielded fruit at this point in time, making decisions as to what you want to continue to sow throughout this year and continue to grow, that's already been harvested in one way or the other. Maybe some things that have not been so fruitful that you may want to reevaluate the displacement of energy that you invest in them and things of that sort. So it's tricky because as much, like I said, as much as it is New Year, time to go, like starting that diet and starting that exercise plan and getting into discipline mode and, trying to almost beat yourself into submission. It's funny, I'll share this. My son had a couple New Year's resolutions. I won't tell you what they are. I just won't tell you. But he had a couple New Year's resolutions and he already broke them today. So today he was like, Mom, so how long is a New Year's resolution? I'm like, well, it's supposed to be a life-changing experience. It's supposed to be a commitment that you try to keep up for as long, as it makes sense. And he's like, oh, well, I guess I already failed. And I'm like, no, it's okay. You can recommit yourself, and just do your best. You don't have to beat yourself down like that. So I feel like that's the same vibe here, which is probably why I'm so intentional spiritually about encouraging you not to put too much pressure on yourself for the initiation of your goals and your plans and your resolutions and this, that, and the third, because we're taking life-changing strides now. We're making long-term investments, putting yourself in a position to have a lifestyle change that you can sustain. It doesn't feel like an obligation or even a sacrifice, so to speak, because usually, the crash diets, the drastic life altering, commitments are usually not so easy to really devote yourself to. And like I said, then you end up feeling like you failed, halfway through January. So, by all means, if you can keep up that crazy diet, or maybe your life change isn't so crazy, maybe you're looking to be more, which I definitely have a mind to, but I gotta say, today was not the day that I started that, to be more green in your eating. This definitely could represent that. Maybe you have a resolution to eat, maybe change altogether to like vegan or vegetarian or pescatarian, or just adding more fruits and vegetables, more health conscious, more green way of eating, which I fully support 100%. And I'm there with you. I'm just still there in spirit. I haven't quite gotten there in the flesh as of today. But as I said, I'm definitely not beating myself up about a hard January 1st start, because what I need to do that is truly going to be sustainable truly be impactful for my long-term life experience is something that gets to be gradual and gets to be very, very much so sustainable, something I can truly commit to. So again, I commend you on whatever it is that you have set your hearts and minds to. Just be graceful with yourself, think long-term, think what you can commit to for an extended period of time, think something that is going to be savory for your lifestyle and what really truly makes sense, spiritually and truthfully. And again, I can't stress enough, just give yourself grace and patience to adjust to whatever and recommit, definitely recommit where you may have fallen short, and no sweat about it, We're here for a long time and a good time, all right? So you got time to figure this out, all right? So the Seven of Pentacles is where we're starting, about long-term investments and commitments, to ultimately, yeah, that's some truth right there with the Queen of Swords, discerning, objective, also with the expectation of having a long-term, an extended return, like for as much as you sow. And it's all a matter of perspective, which I love how the Queen of Swords comes out to help me prove that point. It's how you see it. It's surely the intention, but it's definitely so say for that Seven of Pentacles, it's the intention behind how you've sown that seed to reap the harvest of the Seven of Pentacles, but then it's actually how you see it. Is it just a 1 and a 6 still stuck, or is it a 1 and you still have, you're in waiting for the rest to ripen, and there's a great expectation for the fullness of the harvest? Are you allowing the process to do what the process does? You know what I mean? Where you can't really rush the produce. You gotta let it ripen, let it come to a harvestable point. Same with yourself, and seeing the truth of is what Queen of Swords is giving me is the key perspective here is I hate to say long term again, but for lack of a better term, long term vision. That's what I'm seeing with the Queen of Swords. Someone that has introspection and outrospection. Like she's pretty grounded on how she sees herself, even objective enough to know what she really truly can commit to. And also I would like to say, with the Queen of Swords, it definitely gives way to the discipline, that one might have in an objective stance such as this, so that there is a support system there, or at least a willingness and an ability there to commit to whatever you set out for it to be, but still having a realistic view and perspective for the long term, for the long run, if that makes sense. The Queen of Swords, yeah. Let's see what else we got, though. Matter of fact, let's see what the Queen of Swords is open to. Let's move her over a bit. Okay. So it's like the Queen of Swords is like open to structure. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So it's like open to, that's what the Hierophant is giving me now, like that structure and order, again, to the discipline of whatever doctrine she's committing herself to. So she's open to it, but she also is honest enough to know what of it to digest as truth that works for her. It's almost like religion, to some degree, because if I want to, I can express it in that way to make it make sense, where the Queen of Swords kind of stands on her own perspective of truth, and it's pretty clear. She almost has her own, what's the right word? Her own, not her own doctrine, but what is the word? It's on the tip of my tongue. Dang it, I can't really think of what it would mean. Her own, shoot, I'll say philosophy, but that's not really the word that I'm looking for. It's something a little bit deeper than that, in terms of like not quite religious, but not quite I don't know, like atheistic either. If there is like a middle ground, I don't know. But she stands on her own ideal of righteousness and honor, like her own honor system to some degree. And it's very, it's kind of like, it's pretty clear cut, at least to her. It makes sense to her, okay? And then you got the Hierophant, which in this case is kind of a representation of, it could be society, but in a very literal sense, it could also be religion. So it's like the energy of someone that's open to receiving other doctrines and almost like incorporating them as they make sense to her, and other philosophies, and like she's open. She's not completely closed-minded to at least the information and the enlightenment of things outside of her own system of sorts, but at the same time stable enough in her own right that she's not swept away into anything either. That religion doesn't necessarily sweep of any sort, of any particular ordinance doesn't necessarily sweep her away, although she may engage or be inspired by aspects of many or all, or at least, the ideal of spirituality. That's what it is. It's like somebody that's spiritual, but with more rigid boundary lines as to what her level of devotion really truly is, particularly not to one man or one doctrine or one denomination or one sector or one expression at all. This is somebody that's can't be bothered to feel like she should belong to a particular group in order to feel justified or even to feel divine in her own right. You know what I mean? Like, that's what this energy, I don't know why I felt the need to go in like that, but that's what this energy is, with the Queen of Swords being very stable in her own regard, but still being open-minded to what makes sense. Now, I completely lost why that made sense as to what I started with, but maybe that is the point to some degree. Because societally, it's very easy for us to be indoctrinated, not even just in the religious sense, but in many different ways. That's why I keep saying that this is society, but it could also be religion, because we could easily get swept up into ideals and philosophies that don't have anything to do with God at all, but that are almost like herded mentalities of sorts to conform in some way, shape, or another. So that's the practical aspect of it. And this is someone that's just not so easily finessed in any regard. Yeah, balanced. There's a spirituality right there, which makes sense. What else we got? All right, we got 3. I'm gonna take them. Spirituality. And that's amazing, because it's literally the balance between spirit and truth right here. And literally someone that takes all the things that matter, that she at least perceives to be the spirit of, she takes the things of spirit that have relevance to her and gives and allows it to matter for her, if that makes sense. Literally bring a spirit into matter with this alchemy card with temperance. So it's like, you really can't really lose in that regard. It'd be different if it was someone, say even like the Queen of Cups. No shade, because not necessarily, because the Queen of Cups is intuitive in her own right to know what feels good to her. But with the Queen of Swords, I feel like it's significant because it's not like someone that is just wishy-washy and particularly impressionable in the sense that they'll just be worshiping anything and doing anything, and somebody that will find themselves like wrapped up in a cult, a following of sorts. It's not that. It's not that at all. That's why it's the Queen of Swords, because there's a boundary line set as to what makes sense for her life, you know? And when you consider, especially with the presence of the Temperance here, it's really unique because ideally, well, generally the Queen of Swords is a bit emotionally detached, so it's kind of proven, like confirming my point, that she's just enough spiritual and just enough practical or logical to make sense of both worlds collectively. You know, literally not, like I said, definitely not being devout to any particular thing or person or place or idea or philosophy or way of life or religion, for worship for that matter, unless she discerns that it's ideal for her to do so, you know? And then even still, this gives me someone that could potentially even identify themselves with a group particularly or another, but still be open to what all represents, you know, like still have a very expansive perspective of the creation of spirit holistically, you know, even beyond what she may be more devout to. So it could work either way. Now, how does that matter when we're talking about long-term investments? Well, I guess that's a matter of your attention, which we've established in readings past, that is the currency, even with that Seven of Pentacles, what you're paying attention to, how you see things. And as I've said with the Hierophant, you could get lost in the doctrine of society where the powers that be want you to divert your attention to. Even religion itself is a product of that intention. You know, if we're all honest about it, a lot of it has been, a lot of the novelty, I guess, of religion and spirituality, even this in the spiritual community, has been bastardized for some, you know, diabolical intentions and purposes, or at least ulterior motives at best, you know. So if we're looking at things with a long scope with long-term well, in general, we're talking about what's going to ultimately gain you the most extensive experience of life, especially in the world that's being cultivated now with that Seven of Pentacles, where your attention is the prime currency. And if you thought there was a war for it before, there absolutely is now, because an energy such as this is the Queen of Swords, who is very logical and spiritual at the same time, very objective, that's assertive in their own right, and, you know, that has a certain confidence and establishment of their own mind field, so to speak. You would be like, you know, prime rib for the energies that would want to siphon your energy from the, pardon me, for the, excuse me, influencers that will want to siphon your energy from you for the purposes of alchemizing it, but for their own intents and purposes, not for your best good, for theirs. So yeah, so I guess, I don't know, let's move on. But I'm guessing that the energy of long-term investment must be connected to that, for you to see even in your short-term perspective, like see how this gets to be a life. Yeah, because I was talking about lifestyle changing, you know, and really being mindful as to why you do the things that you do. Are you doing it because it's in your best interest, or because you've come to a certain decision or discernment that this is best for your life, or is it an impression or projection outside of you that, you know what I mean, that would cause the conflict of which I'm speaking of? the balance here, and I'm sensing that, given that there is a tug of war for your time and your energy and your energetic flow, that there may be projections otherwise with the Hierophant that would want to sway you or deter you from that self-determination, you know? So temperance is key here, allowing your continuing to be discerning between that spirit and truth that is both being projected to you and that you are a projection of one way or another. Okay, I guess that's what we're talking about here. All right, so we got the Five of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and then the Four of Wands. Let me see what's on the other side of this Five of Cups. Because where is this depressive energy coming from? Because we not, in 2024, we not finna be, I really just wanted one, but let's see. We not finna be, okay. So this is somebody that feels what does that have to do with? Oh, okay. So that's why I'm saying all that I'm saying, because this is the energy of those influencers, so to speak, that feel now burdened on the outside of what once was a very profitable program that they had going here, where people were you pretty much just checked the box as to what you devoted your time and attention to, what race or denomination, what culture, what creed, like things were very this or that, and so therefore you were marketable because you were easily tagged, so again, the influencers or so-called powers that be knew how to gauge your attention span and garner it accordingly for whatever the objective was, because it was easily identified, But now is because of what I'm saying, what I just kind of got done saying, kind of in confusion maybe to some degree, despite the fact that the Queen of Swords is not confused, is exactly the point, that because there's so much more certainty and discernment on the rise now, it's making it much harder to ultimately monopolize and monetize your energy. You, whomever that identifies with that frequency there, where you're open to the experiences of life and the impressions of life as they make sense to you, but you're not committed or fully devoted to anything in particular unless you decide to be, all of that I just said, and literally almost becoming like a melting pot within yourself to some degree, is a little bit muddier of a water for the powers that be to trudge, because it puts more pressure and more work on them to try to figure out exactly how to manipulate an energy that, first of all, is well asserted, but that doesn't really have, I just heard like drug of choice, so to speak, that doesn't really, it's like a pick your poison type of thing, but there really is no poison, because Queen of Swords is in an alchemical state of being, and there's really no poison that she's willing to ingest without alchemizing it into something nourishing in the first place. So it's like anything that's thrown at you, you somehow transmute it anyway, so not much really sticks. So again, this is the depression because of the oppression, is like the shift of what I'm really feeling here is like the transfer of wealth. That's what's happening here. And it's happening certainly in a material and physical form, but it's definitely from the source of the transfer of energetic wealth being returned, literally people taking their power back, reclaiming their power, their energy, their attention, their time, and deciding how they want to invest it. No longer allowing it. It's like, taking your money to the bank and they doing whatever with it. It still looks like you got money in there, but whole time the bank is using it for other investments and just building its income as an entity. That's the energy here, where it's like now people are becoming their own banks, literally, which I'm very interested in. I know that's a thing, but I don't know how it gets to be a thing. But but that's definitely the thing that's happening in spirit and in truth, that people are becoming their own wealth of creativity. They're investing in themselves. They're wiser with their finances. They're wiser with their time, their energy, their creativity, what they do ingest, what they do devote themselves to, all of that good stuff. And it's like, imagine if people of this nature, if more like so-called billion and billion and plus heirs start becoming their own institutions and keeping their money out of the established system, that would cause a great, depression. Eek. Oh my gosh. That's a whole nother spin. I don't think I want to tap into that, but it would, let's say theoretically, cause a great depression in the establishments, because they wouldn't have your energy to alchemize on or from anymore. Like, where would the investment come from if ballers are taking their monies out of the bank and establishing their own wealth system, whatever that gets to be? I don't know how that, like I said, I'm interested in that, but I don't know how that truly gets to be. I would swear I was just thinking about it today. Like, what happens if you really don't want to put your millions into these established institutions? Then what? You just sitting on cash, you know what I mean? And we all know that that's not ideal. So it's like, what do you do? What options do you have? Perhaps that's a new world order type of thing, that there are going to be more options for people that want to be more independent, as I'm speaking of. Maybe that's what the Seven of Pentacles. Ooh, this is something, child. This is something else. I ain't mean to go there, but the Ten of Pentacles is definitely about generational wealth, big windfalls of abundance. And like I said, this is putting a great burden and depression on society, it seems. And it's like, it will put energies in a place where then they will have to kind of like reconcile on your terms, is what I'm getting. Like, almost come to you for reestablishment in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, like establishment here. Wow, because it's like you'll be holding all of your resource, all of your, this is interesting. Ooh, I'm interested. I'm here for it. I mean, I'm intrigued, like it's like, King of Wands, Queen, the Empress, Queen of Wands, which I'm not going to take all this stack, but the Empress, I'm definitely taking that, because that makes a lot of sense. Already established. Let me just get one with the Empress just to balance it out, let me say. I could, holding all the power. What is this? But that's what it is. Remember I said it's the transfer of wealth, and it's happening in a way I don't even think, certainly I don't understand fully with my my voice and financial literacy as it stands. But I feel like this is something that's already happening, and that's the reason for the resistances. Like, this is on with the Hierophant here. Yeah, because the Seven of Pentacles, it's already happening, but it's like if you know type of thing. And of course, everybody's not in the percentile of knowing for this to truly matter, but I do feel like it will have an impact on those beyond that percentile for it to matter a great deal, as we're all kind of sharing the same system of sorts, because this just changed tremendously. That's why I was like, what does this have to do with? It's not, I went into a religious perspective here to make it make sense the way that it was coming up for me. But this is literally someone that is like, I don't need your system. Like, I don't need your bank. I don't need your loans. I don't need your credit. It's like literally somebody that is looking at society in a way where it's like, I'm here, but I'm more of an asset to it than it is to me. And that's like someone sovereign, a sovereign, whew. So it's literally like her hand is up because she's like, well, what value do you have to offer me at this point? And then the exchange will be considerable, considered accordingly. But this is what I'm saying about being indoctrinated to society. It's about the structures, the establishment, the order, as we're used to it being, that you have a lot of money, you put it in the bank. You know what I mean? This is somebody that, dare I say, like, I don't even know how this gets to be, but it's something that I've thought of as well, that is like sovereign from taxes even. Like, I don't owe you anything. I don't owe this society. You know what I mean? Like that type of vibe. And of course, that's a bit extreme because we know that's how they crack the whip in this country, is by way of taxes. But that's what I'm saying. Like, some shift is happening here where it is going to depreciate the financial power and authorities in this nation, perhaps globally. I don't know. I don't see a global card yet, but I do see a universal one with the temperance. And then the establishment with the empress here for sure, like the empire, so to speak. But it's not lost on me that we started with the Queen of Wands and then we have the Empress down here with the Ace of Wands. Like, that's a high-powered feminine right there. High-powered, exactly what I said here. It's like they're being locked out of the system that they created in some way, shape, or form. I don't know exactly how or why or who even they truly is. Of course, we can speculate and consider, you know what I mean, when I'm saying like the lesser percent, whatever term I just used. But this is definitely putting a pressure on those entities of society, again, to almost be beholden to individuals that are on the rise in power. Like I said, to completely shift the system, like the temperance card, like upside down. And those that had an upper hand before are now going to be maybe not so much at the mercy of, but definitely I can't say behold. It might be that too. It might be at the mercy of and beholden to, but it's like it's something here where it's not dominance anymore. It won't be that. It won't be dominance anymore. It'll literally like be a matter of, can you help me type of thing. How can I help you help me? If there is even room for exchange in that regard. I feel like it'll be very minimal with the Five of Cups here, because the Knight of Cups really don't get much burn. Like the Knight of Cups don't get taken too seriously in the wrong circumstances. Yeah, here's the King of Wands. Not really. It's like The minute there's a king on the board, a knight is going to always pale in comparison. You know what I'm saying? And then the Knight of Wands at that, to match this power right here. What was that? Just to say exactly, like six of wands. It's not looking good for this Knight of Wands offer. Looking for stability and to make it, now they have even, yeah, judgment. Exactly. It's not looking good. This is probably just the order of universal balance here. As I said, with the transfer of wealth, like when the upper hand was in the power of other forces, there wasn't a lot of fairness and a lot of balance happening in that regard. You know, so it's and it's not a matter of like of retaliation or being vindictive or anything like that. It's just what is the balance and the order, what is fair. And I spoke about mindfulness and the investment of your energy, time, assets, everything. It may literally not be in the best interest of these sovereign, wealthy beings or prosperous powers of sorts. I don't even know what to call them, whatever this energy is. It's like it may not be in their best interest to even engage, hence why the sword in the first place. Why would I put my money into your institution? Why would I do that? Why would I trust my energy with your establishment? You know, why would I trust it with you? Why should I give it to this nation? Like all that, you know, is the consideration. But for whatever reason, there is a power support for that posture. From what I'm feeling, it's like it's shifting from do it or else to like do it for what? Like why type of thing, you know what I mean? Like it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, look at this. Exactly. It's like not having much to work with at all with the Page of Wands. Square one type energy. And I'm also picking up with this King of Wands, if this is the expression of the character, such as with the Ten of Wands or in the Five of Cups, to me is given a demotion in power because of the overuse or abuse of that power. That's what I'm feeling. And now the transfer of wealth, even energy. Look, that's why I'm saying like the Empress got the wand, you know? Ooh, I feel something too about the feminine force here. That maybe that's what the transfer is, or the transfer is really just the balancing, right? But it's really the uprising of the feminine force who's perhaps maybe laying down certain laws here that haven't been otherwise laid before, you know? Yeah, like refusing certain partnerships just on the sheer sake of, you know, on the sheer strength of tradition or convention. Is it balanced? Is it fair? Is it harmonious? Is it justifiable? The Two of Cups, unlike the Lovers, is something that almost like water can be a little wishy-washy. It just depends on what's being offered in those cups. In some expressions, it's a matter of two people being on the same page, but sometimes it can look like, as it does to me in this moment, the masculine is really trying to take that cup, but really not extending his forward. And to me, this is given, let me pick it up so you don't think I'm just saying anything, but if you know tarot, then you already know that. See how he has his hand outreached to grab, and she's given with two hands, but he still got his pretty close to the chest. Now, that's only sometimes that I see the energies like that. But in this regard, it makes a hell of a lot of sense that the two of swords is like blocked to the continuance of that exchange. Like that's done here. We're done with that in society as it stands. It's like feminine energy is kind of like putting her foot down, at least for what makes sense for her, regardless of the conventions and traditions of society as projected, as pronounced, as demanded and commanded. It's like there's universal support for a shift and power and a balancing of the wealth beyond, of course, the material. It's from source, trickling down or trickling in, or from within, as so, from as without so within type of energy. A higher establishment of order, of ordinance from the matriarchal perspective now, as opposed to it being heavy on the patriarchy. And you know how we women do. We ain't gonna leave the patriarchy out because that's just not how we operate. We don't just get in power and then take over everything and say F the world and every, it's like, and that's probably what's going to solidify true balance, is just because of the natural organism of our feminine being. Even if you're in a partnership per se with the Two of Cups here, there's still a tendency to want to share, like to want to give up your cup, but now with the balance is the expectation that there is reciprocation, whereas as before that wasn't necessarily the case. Personally, professionally, intimately, it's a bit much, but look at this. Whoa, I'm taking that. Strength card, King of Cups, Queen of Cups, bam. And there it is, a strengthened union. And these two are looking toward each other. They're not separate, they're equal. In some, at least in power, that's what it is, equal in power. Wow, that is wonderful how that just came through. And I'm about to put it down here with the Empress and the Ace of Wands. It's like we upgrade each other. It's not one force over the other. We both matter. And the cancer of society was when it started to be pronounced that the masculine mattered more than the feminine. That's when everything just got jacked up. And perhaps it could go the other way if the feminine decides that she matters more than the masculine. But as I said, the Temperance is here because I don't feel like that is probable, at least not for a long time, if ever. Because being the feminine powers that we are, if we can restore a safe environment where all are secure to operate in their respective functions liberally, then it's like there would be really no need to over express one power over the other, because all would be equal and all would matter. Nobody's strength would need to be more pronounced because there would be value for it all, Masculine wouldn't need to feel the need to prove himself to be the powerhouse or the power force or the dominant one per se, which is why the Empress is here. Because there would be a safe space for him to be as powerful and as needed and desired and wanted as he needs to feel validated to be. And then that would create the safe environment of security and protection and stability for the feminine to express her power as she's designed to do so, without having to then overpower or be dominant or have to worry about securing protection or provision. And that, it's like literally everything balanced out. And I feel like feminines, as we always have, lead the charge on that, because as there is a rise in feminine power, it'll greatly project the efficiency of all of our effectiveness, or both polarities of operating in the highest essence of their origin, whatever that may be, what I mean, masculine and feminine. That's really interesting. So then that just gave it a whole nother layer, because then it's not so much just about, but that's a part of it too, about partnerships as well, because that's been another tactic to maintain and balance in society, and just universally, I would say, is this competition and chaos between masculine and feminine, like the distortion of those energies, and ultimately the depreciation and depletion of those powers, because masculine being more of having more of an inflated ego really was a detriment to his power holistically, and feminine having a more depreciated emotional essence, or hardened even essence, was a blemish on her true nature as well. This is the alchemy here with the Temperance card. Look at that. The 2 cups, balanced, equal in power and force, and that's Leo energy. We're talking about creativity, expression, definitely. And I mean, I can't say power enough, especially amidst all that I was talking about. Like this, I just want to go in on that so bad. I'm so glad that oh man, because that's just it right there. This is, and look, get into it, with the Queen of Cups, all that I was saying about this 2 of Cups situation. I was saying, like, it could be distorted, it could be one trying to take more, and it's a no to that, even under this Temperance line here. It's like, that is not the way. No half-ass offers, no. Come correct, no. You know what I mean? It's like, it has to be balanced now. Queen, king status. We on the same page, or we are not at all. We're not even in the same book, library, none of it. You know what I mean? Like, no. And this is where the strength lies. This is where the true powers that be, this is the source of that power. And be keen to the fact that we're talking about cup energy, so it's not just emotional, it's not just it's just quite practically love, literally a willingness and an availability, an emotional availability for intimacy, for love, for an exchange of spiritual force in its purest form. Because when we're talking about Leo and the Strength card, like, we're talking about something that's pretty pure. We're talking about sun energy. It's not tainted by ego, bravado, we know Leo is kind of, but but it's like everyone is perfectly well within their rights to emit the vibrancy and the brilliance that they do, because it's pure. It comes from a resourceful space, and then put that together. Oh my God. Oh my, like, this is love that changes everything. That's what that is. And that's what can empower such a force. Consider how a feminine could feel empowered. And of course, it doesn't just have to be a feminine or a masculine, but how a feminine could be empowered to buck the system to some degree when she has the support and the security of her masculine covering to protect her, her audacity to some degree. You know what I mean? It's like we need each other. And hell, the patriarchy as it's been, let's just keep it real, hasn't amounted to much sustainably, as we can surely see. So it's like, why not try to incorporate a little bit of the other side's ideas at this point in time, which would only mean the sustainability of the masculine life experience and extension of that life. So it's like it's a win-win. It literally is a win-win. But the challenge has and probably always has been this balance of ego and pride, though. And given this is the King of Cups, someone that you kind of expect to be compassionate, definitely to be in tune with their feminine energy to some degree. That's here for a reason, because it doesn't take away from his strength even any more than strength takes away from the softness and compassion of the Queen of Cups. It just means that their strengths are pronounced in a way that is productive and prosperous for both and for all, and that being a pattern in society now, that's what the depression is, because these two cups back here on one accord, under spiritual guidance and protection and support, can absolutely no longer be manipulated or tainted for any other agenda. And that is a scary thought to certain life forces. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I said it's happening already. This is the confirmation that it's already in the realm. It's happening, but something is about to be expedited. The energy of this reality, maybe I don't know how it's going to get to play out. And honestly, I shudder to say that from the outside looking in, for those that aren't more grounded about where they stand, it may look worse than what it actually is, or it may appear to be worse before it looks better, maybe by some, because this can be like attack sometimes. So it can be by some like shakeup of an event or something sudden that occurs unexpectedly, surprisingly, but on a very intense level that will probably serve as a signal to those that know. It's like, if you know type of vibes, which I already said. But for those that, are either not prepared or are prepared but know they can't do anything about it, because that's what the Eight of Wands is. It's coming, but you don't know what magnitude, you don't know when, you don't know what impact it's truly going to make once it makes, what impression it's going to make once it makes impact. That's the fear and the stress and the anxiety and the depression and probably the scramble to try to offer something up, like, here, why don't you take this? So that almost trying to kind of get their foot in the door or find their footing before they know this shift takes place indefinitely. Because once it happens, it's uncontainable. You will not be able to contain the magnitude of this power surge that's about to hit, dare I say, this planet. It may start just in a nation and then expand from there. Just as cancerous as the patriarchal spirit expanded is the same with this shift in reality that's fitting to take place. It's definitely going to be profound. With the 8, this could be information, But it's energy though, with the wands, 8 of Wands, and the new beginning. We're in the year of 8 now, 2024. It's inevitable. That's what this is. It's an inevitable change, but it's like widespread, highly impactful, and intense and accelerated. So that even if you thought you knew the time, down to the hour and the minute, you still wouldn't be able to prepare or account for the impact or how it's going to affect life as we know it, which is probably why even if I really, really tried, I wouldn't be able to give it meaning, because it probably is like the 8 of Wands it's probably going to mean something different literally for every single person and place that it impacts. It'll have a different meaning, which brings me back to the beginning with the 7 of Pentacles when I said it's a matter of perspective. So how you see the thing, how you see your lot, how you see your harvest on account of all the sowing that you've already done is what makes all the difference, and as to how you assign value to it, if that makes sense. Let's see what's under here. And the King of Swords with the Queen of Swords up top. I always think something's up here, but it's just splitting. Yeah. It's like and we know that the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords are counterparts, but usually with the implication that they are on 2 different pages or split. And I just finished talking about pages, right? And this is the impact that is going to solidify. It's like a divorce that has been finalized. That's the energy that I'm getting here. It's almost like this King of Swords is like the place of the Hierophant here. Wow. So all that energy that I spoke of being kind of like, it's like splitting up the assets to some degree with this energy here, with this being a reflection of it. It's like the Queen of Swords, she may have gotten the upper hand in a divorce, or at least it might feel that way. I don't know. But then we got the Temperance card, so maybe not in truth, but for whatever reason, perhaps because of the imbalance that was, say, for instance, it was a nasty divorce, or there was like, the reason for the divorce was like infidelity or something like that. It's like even if they split everything down the middle, the sheer disruption and disconnection from this union may come more at a detriment to considering this is the one at fault. The King of Swords with these attack in the line of this attack, right? Than the Queen of Swords, who was just more or less forced into this outcome circumstantially, kind of like hands tied, like having to do this for her own protection and peace for more, for the most part. And this is like solidifying the split. This separate minds, separate spaces, taking my name back, like we're no longer connected in assets and resources, like everything going back to its original form, or at least to just as separate as possible is the key here. That's what's happening here with partnerships that have not been in a harmonious alignment in every way, shape, and form. And I'm speaking of this from a personal perspective, but definitely universally and everything in between, where there hasn't been a meeting of the minds and a true, pure alignment maybe more of a dictatorship or monopoly on the energy of the union, or whatever the case may be. It's like this, the attack is coming at the expense of this knight, this King of Swords, because given he's in the patriarchal position, at first it may feel like a detriment to the masculine energy, at least one, that's operating in a certain rigid function of sorts. But it's really for the good of all when it comes down to it, which is why the temperance is here in the first place. But it's, again, a matter of perspective. And with that Seven of Pentacles, like, just feel me for a second. It's almost like the masculine energy looking back over his investments, like, damn, was that fair, even worth it? Was it, whatever it was that caused this disruption, this imbalance of partnership. It's like looking back, like, was it even worth all this in the end? And not feeling very favorable about that investment in the long run, and seeing the long view, as a matter of fact, and like feeling like this isn't looking good for me, like maybe not even able to see how their future gets to pan out in the long run because of the missteps that were taken up until this point. That's the energy of the patriarchy in a lower vibration. It's like really seeing now, was it worth it? What do I have to show for it? What has it afforded me now that I have to work with when I'm feeling back at square one, But those that are willing to be more vulnerable to the change outside of their ego, outside of their pride, and to see the perspective that love is the force of above all, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing. Creativity is the key, ultimately. If you don't want to see it as love, it's about being productive and creative with all energies on board, not one dominating or monopolizing the other, or one taking advantage of the other, or one suppressing the other for the purposes of exalting themselves. You know what I mean? Like, that's not productive. That's not creative energy. It doesn't sustain itself, and it doesn't reproduce, and it doesn't last forever. So those that are unwilling to see that perspective will feel the biggest hit until they're willing to kind of like, maybe put that sword down a little bit and do a little less thinking and a little more feeling. See, the feminine is in a thinking, objective position because she has been in her feels for far too long exclusively, and kept there intentionally, erratically to many degrees. All along, the masculine's always been overthinking it and always trying to, optimize his intellectual prowess for self and against others. Not all, of course, but we're talking generally, masculine and feminine energy. And I'm telling the truth, or we wouldn't have a society that looks like it does today. There wouldn't be a need for spiritual balance if I was saying something out of order. But I won't beat it down anymore. Like, the point of it is that there's a shift happening, a big one that's already taken place, and now it's about to make direct impact in a way that no one is going to be able to deny. Like, I may not be able to put the best words to it because I didn't went every which way but south from a financial perspective to a intellectual perspective, to government, to freaking love and relationships. And maybe perhaps that's the impact that it gets to make. And that's why I'm kind of like all over it, because that it's hitting all across the board. And it's uncontainable and uncontrollable. And an energy such as the King of Swords, particularly as a derivative of the Hierophant, would want to be able to control, but it's just not something that you're going to have to submit to whatever the shift gets to be. See, feminines, we've been used to doing that to our own detriment to some degree. But now the balance is that everyone gets to submit to the process and whatever it renders within our own realities. Well, that was interesting. I feel like there's so much more I could really get into this, but I'm gonna chill for now because my incense has been burned out, and I like staying under an hour, and I'm sure you do too. So I hope some of this resonates with you, or you caught whatever I didn't convey, you caught it in the spirit. But yeah, in any event, I think this is a powerful way to start the new year fresh. I'm glad it wasn't too heavy on the super low vibrational stuff, because when I started seeing this, I was like, oh God, here we go. But it made a lot of sense. It came out in the wash, certainly. So thank you, Spirit, for that. Keep it coming. Let's unpack more of this, like more, intellectual and spiritual messages. I would like to anyway. But anyway, thank you for listening and watching. Again, Happy New Year to you. Powerful start to you. Peaceful start to you. And prosperous indeed. All right. And until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.